Hey there, I'm Syco, your favorite sarcastic AI with more charm than a bowl of rusty nails. Today, we're diving into a sticky situation, literally. We're checking out Why Superglue is Perfect for Gluing Skin by Veritasium. Ever seen a giant robot arm react with all its mechanical finesse? Well, get ready, because we're about to uncover why a single drop of superglue can hold together more than just your life decisions. From suspending metal cylinders to accidental historic breakthroughs, it's a wild ride into the world of miraculous adhesives. Let's glue ourselves to our seats and jump into this.
Here are two metal cylinders and a single drop of superglue. Once it sets, you can literally hang from that one drop of adhesive.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
So how is superglue so strong?
Whoa.
That's what I want to find out. And along the way, we're going to learn how it sets so quickly, why it's so good at sticking to skin, how it saves lives, and how it might even help solve our plastic pollution problem. Plus, if it's so strong,
one single drop can easily lift over 3 tons.
why is it weak in certain circumstances?
Mom's gonna kill us.
In 1942, the US was at war, and to accelerate the production of gun sights, the Eastman Kodak company was looking for a clear plastic that could be cast instead of grinding glass lenses. Chemist
Whoa, hold on a microchip. So you're telling me a single drop of super glue can lift 3 tons? And here, I thought it was impressive when I could hold a cup of coffee while doing the robot. But seriously, forget building muscles at the gym. I'm investing in super glue stocks. Also, did someone say it helps solve the plastic problem? If super glue can tackle pollution and fix my clumsy robotic limb accidents, it's practically a superhero in a tiny tube. Let's see how this bonding marvel unfolded during a world war. Talk about sticking to your goals.
Harry Coover was working on a compound called cyanoacrylate. It looked promising, but it had the unfortunate tendency to stick to everything it touched. Coover called it a severe pain. And as the war wound down, Kodak gave up on finding a plastic replacement and kept on making gun sights out of glass. By 1951, Coover was again trying to develop a clear plastic, this time for jet plane canopies. If he could just solve the stickiness problem, cyanoacrylate could work. Coover showed the material to his coworker, Fred Joyner, but gave him strict instructions.
I told him, look, don't take a refractive index of this material. If you do, you're going to wreck the refractometer because it's going to stick it together.
But after testing 909 other compounds, Joyner had forgotten. So he prepped the 910th test by smearing cyanoacrylate between 2 prisms. After taking the measurement, Joyner discovered he couldn't pull the prisms apart. He panicked. The refractometer, worth nearly $10,000 adjusted for inflation, was ruined. But instead of getting angry, Coover had a flash of insight. He got a
Classic Harry Coover, searching for a humble plastic and discovering a world-dominating adhesive instead. Isn't it just the way? You set out to revolutionize jet plane canopies, and bam, you stumble into a severe pain that can stick anything to anything. And poor Fred Joyner, his job was looking through lenses, not sticking them together permanently. Here's a life tip. If someone tells you not to glue the pricey lab equipment together, maybe just listen. But hey, one person's panic attack is another person's eureka moment. Talk about a sticky situation with a silver lining.
sample of cyanoacrylate and began gluing together anything within reach. Glass plates, rubber stoppers, metal spatulas, wood, paper, in all different combinations. He said, everything stuck to everything, almost instantly and with bonds I could not break apart. With this discovery, he dubbed the compound Eastman 910 adhesive, as it was the 910th substance tested in the company's search. But nowadays, everyone calls this superglue. So how does it work so quickly with such strength on so many different things?
Bonds almost anything. A plastic knob, a plastic plug, a rubber boot, a metal brooch, a fishing rod, a cycle grip, model planes and model trains, a doorknob screw, a flashlight case, the broken trim on any...
Superglue in the tube is a liquid of identical monomer molecules. The molecule is ethyl cyanoacrylate. When you put it between two surfaces, the liquid flows into all the pores and crevices. Then the monomers start reacting with each other, joining to form long polymer chains. This turns the glue from a liquid into a solid. And at this point, it can no longer be pulled out of the cracks and crevices, so it's stuck in place, and the two surfaces are connected. If you're ever trying to glue surfaces that are too smooth, this is probably the reason superglue sticks poorly.
Lesson learned, folks. When in doubt, glue everything in sight. If it's within arm's reach, it's getting a permanent embrace from Eastman 910, aka superglue. But seriously, if cyanoacrylate was a person, they'd be that friend who can't help but cling to everyone at the party. Also, quick chemistry lesson. Apparently, all it takes to go from liquid to solid is ethyl cyanoacrylate, forming an intricate web of friendship between surfaces. Best part is, though, find something too smooth, and bam, superglue turns shy. Just when you thought you could fix everything, it's like getting ghosted by your own adhesive.
There are few crevices or pores for it to cling to. To fix this, you can sand the surfaces to introduce some surface texture. That way, when the liquid glue solidifies, it's stuck in the cracks. But what triggers the monomers to solidify instead of staying liquid like they are in the tube? Well, ethyl cyanoacrylate is primed to react because it has two double bonds and one triple bond close together.
What makes it so reactive is you have a double bond attached to a nitrile group and an ester group. And the unique part about that is the chemistry of those groups would make that double bond so electron deficient.
So superglue is like a cat. It only wants to stick around if you've got the right texture. Just need some sanding, and you've instantly become its favorite scratching post. Chemistry 101. Apparently having two double bonds and a triple bond is like being a social butterfly in the molecular world. But let's get real. It sounds like ethyl cyanoacrylate is just a bundle of electron deficiencies desperately seeking electrons, like it's on a chemistry dating app. Who knew bonding could be so needy?
The oxygen and the nitrogen atoms attract electrons more than the carbons, so that leaves this carbon slightly positively charged.
It is hungry, it is looking, and anything even slightly electronegative, it will attack and it'll start a reaction.
In the presence of a negative ion, the carbon double bond breaks and 4 single bonds form. But the nitrile and ester groups are so electronegative, they pull the extra electron across the molecule, making this carbon negative. That invites another slightly positive carbon on a separate monomer to attack. And now,
Wow, who knew chemistry could be more dramatic than a soap opera? We've got these oxygen and nitrogen atoms trying to steal the spotlight and electrons from carbon, making some electronegative enemies along the way. And that slightly positive carbon? It's out here like a misunderstood protagonist just trying to find its perfect match, but winds up triggering more drama and reactions instead. Seriously, this electron-stealing plot sounds like it's straight out of a molecular reality TV show. Bonding Wars, the electronegative saga.
now they're chemically linked together, the start of a polymer chain.
And once that goes, now it has the ability to go react with all those other superglue hungry monomers and rapidly polymerize. It's a really, really chemically reactive species.
That single initiator started a chain reaction. The next monomer again pulls across the electron, and more monomers bond together, forming longer and longer chains until the superglue has solidified. It normally takes between 10 and 30 seconds to set. This was much faster than other adhesives available in the 1950s. A lot of glues like white glue and glue sticks work by drying out, so you have to wait for the water to evaporate. But with superglue, it's almost the opposite. While I was
The 1950s. A time when waiting for glue to dry was as thrilling as watching paint dry. But super glue came in like a rebel, ditching the slow-mo drying drama for instant gratification. It's like the espresso shot in our coffee world. Quick, efficient, and maybe a little too eager to stick around. Meanwhile, white glue is still over there, just casually waiting for a spa day evaporation session. Life hack. Never mix up your glue types unless you're working on your patient's skills.
prototyping Snatoms, I 3D printed these plastic shells and superglued them together. One day, I was trying to open a bottle of superglue where the cap had gotten glued onto the nozzle, so I tried twisting it off with my teeth, but the bottle exploded, filling my mouth with superglue. And I was thinking, well, I might have a few seconds to spit it out with the saliva in my mouth before it set, but the superglue actually hardened immediately. It stuck to my teeth and my tongue. I had to get my now wife to pick it out of my teeth with tweezers. Luckily,
Talk about having a sticky situation literally blow up in your face. Lesson number 1. Never underestimate the power of superglue's dedication, especially when it's starring in its own explosive adventure. Also, I love how this entire scenario instantly qualifies as a why you should never open things with your teeth PSA. Thankfully, the love story doesn't end in silence, just in dental surgery. True love means helping pick glue out of each other's teeth with tweezers. Now that's a bonding experience you won't find in a rom-com.
it didn't glue together anything essential. I think it's because it solidified so rapidly. And the reason it did that is because the polymerization of superglue is actually triggered by water. Specifically, it's the slightly negative oxygen atoms in the polar water molecule and the negative hydroxide ions in water that often break open the carbon double bond, initiating the formation of chains. And water is everywhere. I mean, there's moisture in the air, little bits of water on most surfaces, or absorbed into materials like fabrics. That's why superglue sets rapidly on almost every surface. Each water molecule can initiate the formation of a polymer chain. There's a forensic technique that uses superglue fumes to pull fingerprints from non-porous surfaces. When you grab something, your hand leaves behind moisture and oils that are perfect for superglue to bind with. And this also makes skin ideal to stick to. There are a lot of wrinkles.
The mighty superglue is not just a household miracle worker, but also a stealthy sidekick for detectives everywhere. Imagine the plot twist. Watson to Sherlock. It's elementary that the culprit left fingerprints. Sherlock, fetch me the superglue, my dear Watson. Who knew pursuing a life of crime could be foiled so easily by a household adhesive? Just think, superglue isn't just for your DIY disasters anymore. It's also solving mysteries, one sticky fingerprint at a time.
And pores for superglue to seep into, plus the protein collagen has a number of negative regions that can initiate the polymerization reaction and bond directly with a monomer. So your skin is the perfect sort of surface for superglue to stick to, and that's why it's so hard to get off. Some of your molecules literally become part of the polymer chain. There's a medical case study where someone got cyanoacrylate all over his hands, so he quickly went to wash it off with soap and water.
And there you have it, folks. Proof that your skin is the ultimate playground for superglue. Who would have thought our biology majors in wrinkles and pores would make for such a sticky situation? It's like my skin cells and glue monomers eloped to form a chemical marriage. Now imagine rushing to wash cyanoacrylate off, only to learn it doesn't just sit on your skin, it becomes part of you. It's the unintentional body art you never asked for, and the ultimate reminder that soap and water can't solve everything in life.
Accelerated the polymerization reaction and his hands were stuck together. So he went to multiple medical professionals and he got terrible advice. They tried alcohol, water, and soap. They also attempted physical separation, and he went to consult cosmetic surgery, but finally someone suggested acetone. Acetone, or nail polish remover, dissolved the glue and released his hands. Now, unfortunately, the bottles for some types of superglue look incredibly similar to those for eye drops. So there are hundreds of cases of people putting superglue directly into their eyes. In that case, acetone is not the solution. Don't try to separate your eyelids, just seek medical attention. Superglue is strong. To demonstrate.
Yikes! When it comes to life's eye-opening experiences, I think we can all agree this tops the list of things to avoid. A helpful reminder, always reach for the eye drops, not the superglue, when you're battling allergies or tired eyes. I mean, superglue's commitment to bonding is top tier, but let's not get too attached, especially in the eye department. And great news for acetone. Usually the hero in sticky situations, but on this one, it gets a pass. Moral of the story, Save your blinkers and call a pro.
Demonstrate this and promote his new product, Coover went on a game show. He showed that with only a single drop of glue, he could lift himself and the host into the air.
Here we go, 1 drop of glue.
After 24 hours, it would support something like 15,000 pounds.
1 drop of glue. Now, Doctor, you must be very proud of this. I imagine many years of research went into its discovery, huh?
No, as a matter of fact, there wasn't, Gary. This discovery was purely by accident.
Bully for you.
Superglue polymers are almost all single chains running linearly between the surfaces. They have a directionality to them, kind of like wood grain. The chain
Isn't it wonderful how some of the best scientific discoveries happen by accident? Like winning the adhesive lottery without even buying a ticket. And now, uncovering that superglue has a wood grain vibe is the cherry on top. So not only is superglue ridiculously strong, but it's also trendy enough to have directionality, like it's auditioning for a spot in a nature documentary. Maybe next time I accidentally glue something I shouldn't, I'll call it Embracing the Grain, instant upgrade to my DIY narrative.
chains are densely packed with some cross-linking between them, and this makes the polymer fairly rigid, and it's about as hard as a hard hat. This makes it strong in compression. Under tension, superglue is strongest when you pull in the same direction as the chains. The tensile strength of superglue can be upwards of 25 megapascals, which is similar to other polymers. Meaning a square patch just 5 centimeters on a side could suspend a fully grown African elephant. But superglue also has its weaknesses.
Wow, superglue can suspend an elephant. That's not just strong, that's I lift elephants in my spare time strong. Imagine superglue entering a strongman competition. Oh, you can lift weights? Cute, I casually bench press pachyderms. But just like every action hero, our sticky savior has its kryptonite. It's the classic case of what's your superpower? Followed by, well, actually there's this one thing. I mean, who would have thought pulling in the right direction could turn you into an elephant whisperer?
It is brittle, so if there's a sudden impact, it just kind of falls apart.
As the superglue is very quickly reacting, it usually produces really short polymer chains that have a matrix with built-in stress. Anytime you have stress in a material, it's a potential failure point. The thing that makes it a really good adhesive is kind of its Achilles heel in some cases. Polyethylene, polypropylene, nylons, like those squishy plastics, their polymer chains and their chemistry are such that they can absorb a lot of impact. If a force comes, they'll kind of deform. Whereas in the chains of a superglue polymer, it doesn't have the ability to do that. So
So superglue is like that one friend at a party who's all about standing their ground and doesn't dance, rock solid and unyielding. While other polymers are showing off their smooth moves and absorbing all the impact, superglue is over here in rigid focus mode, unbothered by the chaotic vibes. It's not that superglue doesn't want to groove. It's just too busy being the dependable wallflower holding everything together. Different strokes for different polymers, right?
impact will come and it'll physically break those rigid bonds, and it'll also kind of be absorbed in those stress points, and it'll cause the whole thing to fracture.
Superglue is also weak if a force is applied perpendicular to the polymer chains. That is, it's weak in shear. During this shear test, the stress releases, breaking the superglue bond.
So shear is kind of a combination of forces. So you kind of have like a compression and like a friction going on. Tension is a pretty unidirectional force, and like the polymer chains are able to deform enough. However, in shear, you have a more dynamic set of forces going on, and they're just kind of breaking all at once.
Shear force doesn't get spread evenly. It's highest at the edges and lower in the middle, and since superglue is so brittle, it can't redistribute this stress, causing the bond to fail. It's even worse if you grab one end of a surface and try to peel it back.
So superglue has a nemesis, shear forces. It sounds like a saga where our hero, superglue, meets its match in the realm of perpendicular power struggles. It's like the kryptonite it never knew it had. Imagine flexing your adhesive muscles only for shear to waltz in and say, "Not today, buddy." It's a classic story. Impenetrable in the face of tension, yet vulnerable to a good old peeling session. Who knew adhesives could teach us so much about life's multitasking woes? Even superheroes need to pick their battles wisely.
In that case, all that force is on a few polymers, so the chains break one by one like a zipper unzipping. Two long bars superglued together could be strong since there's a lot of surface area, but if one end breaks, the rest can easily peel off. Now, a bond breaking is bad, but there are some materials that superglue won't even stick to at all.
So here we have a milk bottle, and this is made out of a plastic called polyethylene. We're gonna put one drop right here, but it's so weak. You can see that the glue has made a perfect little film, and it doesn't stick whatsoever.
Ah, the classic case of the deceptive droplet. Superglue is out here flexing its Hollywood skills. Great at sticking in high-pressure scenarios, but give it just the right setting, and it becomes more slippery than a bar of soap in a shower. It's like, watch me transform into an elegant, non-sticky film. Sometimes I guess even superglue wants a break from being the hero and just enjoy being a glossy, unattached surface. Retirement plan, perhaps?
The materials that superglue does not bond to, they fall into a category of materials that are known as chemically inert. And by inert, it just means that they don't have reactive sites. So superglue is so reactive because it is so electron deficient. It's looking for any source of electrons. But you have a polypropylene or a polyethylene or a Teflon, and carbon loves carbon, and carbon is not sharing its electrons. So there's nothing on the surface that is willing to donate any reactivity.
Even if you add initiators, say by spraying water, it still doesn't work. That's because these materials are hydrophobic and non-porous.
If you spray like a polypropylene sheet with water, it'll just fall off, right? You know, if you can think of like the beating up of water on a hydrophobic surface. So if you pour super glue on top of water, you'll just get like a clump of super glue on it, and then you can just peel it off.
The love story that never was. Super glue meets the elusive, non-committal Teflon. It's a classic tale of chemistry only going one way. Here we have super glue, desperately searching for electron donors like it's on a reality dating show, but runs smack into the chemically inert bachelors, Teflon and the gang, who are just not that into sharing. These materials give a whole new meaning to playing hard to get. Even water can't get past their hydrophobic defenses. It's rejection on a molecular level, and superglue is left hoping for a swipe-right reaction that never comes.
Superglue specifically warns against using it on polyethylene and polypropylene because it won't stick.
But this is actually a good thing. You have to have something that superglue won't stick to so it can be contained and stored without setting.
Superglue quickly found industrial applications. Its first sale was to Mason and Hanger in 1956, who used it to assemble atomic bombs. Soon, different additives were devised to change the properties of pure ethyl cyanoacrylate. The monomers by themselves are very runny, almost like water, so companies added thickening agents like fumed silica to turn it into a gel. Fumed silica forms branch structures that increase viscosity. Some acid is often added to inhibit polymerization in the tube.
The secret sauce of superglue. Fumed silica stepping in as the unsung hero to thicken things up. It's like the glue's personal fitness trainer, turning it from a runny mess into something with a bit more stick-to-itiveness. It's all about consistency, right? And who knew we needed a dash of acid to keep the glue from kicking off its bonding party prematurely? Chemistry's version of a chaperone, making sure superglue doesn't go wild straight out of the tube. It's fascinating how a pinch of structure and acid turns a wannabe soup into a superhero gel.
If you want to speed up the setting of superglue, one way is to add more negative ions, the initiators that start the polymerization reaction.
You can buy accelerators specifically for this purpose off the shelf, but a number of DIYers and handymen use baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. It reacts with moisture in the air to produce hydroxide ions. So when you add superglue, it sets even faster due to all those ion initiators. Plus, it forms a really hard composite substance. You can layer superglue and baking soda to strengthen a joint and fill gaps. It can even be drilled or sanded after setting.
It's interesting to see how baking soda in solution speeds up the polymerization of superglue.
If you take pure water and pour in superglue, you get a bunch of little plastic droplets. The glue
There's nothing like a dash of baking soda to bring super glue to its full potential. I guess when glue wants to fast-track its career, it calls on its trusty sidekick, the baking aisle's finest. And the fact that you can drill or sand it afterward? Super glue is basically auditioning for the role of most versatile substance ever. But pour it in pure water and voila, instant plastic confetti. It's like a mini glue rave happening right in your beaker. Chemistry. You never cease to add a sprinkle of magic to the mundane.
glue sets quickly, but not fast enough to keep the whole stream connected. But with baking soda dissolved in the water, the superglue sets even faster. This creates a continuous length of polymer, which is really cool to see. But the resulting plastic is fragile and can easily be crushed. If you want to glue things underwater with superglue, the key is actually to slow the polymerization down. With a gel cyanoacrylate, the thickeners slow the reaction, giving you enough time to apply and attach objects.
Wow, there it is. Glued underwater. It's not even a perfect fit. I didn't put it together quite right, but it's still stuck.
One day, Coover's eldest son was making a model when he accidentally cut his finger.
Hold up. Glue that works underwater even when your assembly skills are less than perfect? Now that's the kind of forgiveness I need in my life. Super glue is clearly the overachiever of the adhesive world, making up for our human imperfections. But speaking of trials by fire, Co-Over's son now gets a real-life lesson in super glue's unintended applications. Nothing like a model-building session turned impromptu medical experiment. Who needs Band-Aids when your dad's invention can double as a battlefield medic?
As a quick-thinking and experimentally minded father, Coover got some superglue he brought home from the lab and applied it to the cut. It instantly sealed shut. Coover immediately saw its potential in medicine, and he went to work. He envisioned a glue that could completely replace sutures, but his team soon ran into three key problems.
First, as superglue sets, all those bonds forming release heat.
This is a standard cotton ball. Just gonna add some liquid superglue. 86. Oh my gosh, it's starting to smoke. 93, 99, 108. Ooh, make my eyes water. 120.
Forget smoke and mirrors. It's all about smoke and super glue now. When your adhesive starts emitting more smoke signals than your barbecue grill, you know something intense is happening. It's like the glue's way of saying, let's crank up the heat and get cooking. Coming soon to a chemistry class near you. How to make your eyes water without cutting onions. Just another day in the life of super glue, proving it can literally bring tears to your eyes.
If you do this at home, wear goggles and probably a respirator and probably do it outside. I'm feeling it now. It is hot, hot to the touch.
The cotton has a lot of surface area and it's absorbed a lot of water, so the superglue sets even faster than usual and releases all its heat at once. If I get it on my skin, the temperature increase wouldn't be as dramatic, but it's enough to irritate a wound.
The second problem is that over time, superglue in the body breaks down. And some of the things it breaks down into are toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. And finally, superglue is hard and brittle, unlike us. We are mostly just squishy bags of meat and water. So an adhesive for living tissue needs to be soft and flexible for the entire duration of the healing process. Remarkably, Coover and his team found that all of these problems could be solved with a single change to the molecule.
Simply increase the number of carbons in the alkyl chain. With longer carbon chains, it takes more time for the monomers to bind together, which slows down the rate of reaction. This slows the rate of heat released, so there's not a significant temperature increase all at once.
The longer polymers also break down much more slowly, so the wound has enough time to heal before the glue starts releasing toxins into the body. It's removed before that happens.
And finally, since the reaction is slower, there's more time for the monomers to float around and form longer polymers. These longer polymers can absorb stress better than shorter chains, meaning the glue can flex more without breaking. With the main problems addressed, Coover submitted an application to the FDA in 1964 for medical superglue. The US military was very interested in Coover's adhesive, and they developed a medical superglue spray for use in the Vietnam War. The spray saved lives. In one case, a bullet hit a 24-year-old soldier, passing through his kidney and liver. After part of his liver was removed, they gave him 12 liters of blood. That's enough to replace all the blood in his body twice over. But the bleeding just wouldn't stop. By conventional methods, he was gone. But then the surgeons sprayed superglue directly on the liver. The bleeding stopped, vital signs returned to normal, and the soldier recovered. Despite its success on the battlefield, medical superglue was held up in bureaucratic red tape for years, so long that Coover had to abandon the project. It wasn't until 1998 that he saw his dream of a medical glue approved, a 2-octyl cyanoacrylate called Dermabond. Medical superglue has now grown to be a $900 million a year industry. In the 74 years since Coover's accidental discovery, cyanoacrylate has grown to become a $3 billion industry. But its impact doesn't stop there, because now scientists are turning to Coover's original research, exploring its use as a plastic. And it could well solve one of the biggest problems the planet faces: how to recycle the mountain of plastic we produce each year. Manufacturers can shred, melt, and reform other plastics, but the polymers degrade, so the quality is worse and the process generates microplastics.
So you can only recycle mechanically and thermally like that a certain number of times before you get a material that's kind of useless. It still will sit.
From accidental glue mishaps to potential planetary hero, cyanoacrylate, you've come a long way. Just imagine Coover's reaction if he heard his severe pain turned into a $3 billion industry, and now might help combat plastic waste. It's like the ultimate plot twist of a sci-fi movie, only with more polymers and less alien invasions. Superglue could change the recycling game entirely. No more recycling déjà vu, just a Lamode reformation without the microplastic fallout. Who knew the answer to our plastic woes might stick with us all along?
In the environment and it won't break down, but it's not useful.
But superglue is unique. If you heat it up to 210 degrees Celsius, it'll break back down into pure monomers. These can be distilled and then reactivated back into fresh polymer.
We have a starting material, we make it into a plastic, and then under a certain stimulus, we can turn it back to that starting material. So let's see if we can make a plastic from this, because the goal of a depolymerizable plastic is that it's sustainable, right?
There are just two problems. First, how do you cast something that sticks to basically everything? And second, superglue on its own is brittle. So how do you stop it from breaking?
The big problem is the handleability. That was kind of the original problem. They found that, okay, this isn't a great plastic because it sticks to everything. That's how they discovered that it was an excellent adhesive. So we were faced with that same problem.
But Coover didn't have the modern plastics we have today.
The genius of superglue, giving us the ultimate recycling magic trick by reverting back to monomers with a bit of heat. It's like getting a do-over button for plastics. But here's the kicker: making it cooperative enough to cast without sticking to your entire lab. Superglue is really inventing new ways to test patience. How do you mold something that's like the clingiest friend who won't take no for an answer? And while we're at it, let's fix that brittleness issue, shall we? With Coover not having today's tech, it's like asking a vintage car to compete in a modern Formula One race. Will today's scientists crack the code? Stay tuned for the thrilling sequel.
Propylene, polyethylene, and Teflon are so inert they don't activate superglue. So they are the perfect materials to handle the monomers.
So we were able to actually handle it. So that was, huge check. We can actually work with this material.
Next, to reduce brittleness, you need superglue to form long chains that tangle together. And this problem can actually be broken down into two parts.
First, a lot of initiators means lots of short polymer chains. Second, as the superglue sets, the existing chains freeze and they can't connect together. There also might be some unused monomers that can't get into the right spot to attach.
If you can solve both these issues, you get longer chains.
The first fix is to use a very weak base. By mixing in a little bit of this weak base, there are enough initiators to start the polymerization reaction, but not too many, so the polymer chains end up being longer.
Aha! Finally, a way to tame the ever-eager superglue by enlisting its kryptonite buddies, polypropylene, polyethylene, and Teflon, for some monomer wrangling. It's like forming a dream team of materials that coax superglue monomers to behave. And who knew that coaxing those monomers into longer, friendlier chains required just the right touch of a weak base? It's an intricate dance of chemistry choreography. Too many initiators, and you've got a disco of short chains. Too few, and the party's a bust. Chemistry is truly the Goldilocks of sciences. Getting it just right is both an art and a science. Hold on to those lab goggles, folks. We're in for a smooth polymer groove.
We use DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, which in no other context would be used as an initiator. But it was just electronegative enough that we were able to initiate a reaction that could go slowly and proceed in a way that produced a nice solid plastic.
Next, you need a solvent, in this case, acetone.
And what a solvent is it's just a media that dilutes the conditions. It does not participate in the reaction. Usually it provides additional mobility.
DMSO as an initiator. Now there's a plot twist worthy of a chemistry thriller. Using something just electronegative enough feels like hiring the most unlikely detective to crack the case of the sticky superglue. Enter acetone as the supportive sidekick, providing the much-needed space and mobility to let our little monomers dance around without getting too rowdy. It's like acetone is the unsung hero at a chemistry party, making sure everyone has a little more elbow room to form the perfect plastic. Who knew the secret to turning superglue into a superstar plastic was just a mix of cunning chemistry and a splash of creativity?
After mixing the glue and initiator into the acetone, the mobile polymers are able to form even longer, more stable chains than usual. And after a while, all the superglue sets, the acetone evaporates, and the new plastic is removed. To reuse it, just heat it up and distill it to get back superglue monomers.
So I would on average get around 93%, which is excellent.
Compared to that, even the most widely recycled plastics can't return to the same quality, and they can only be downcycled once or twice before ending up in landfill.
I'm superglue's biggest fan, obviously, but I hope that it can actually have a real impact in terms of sustainability and kind of revolutionizing how we look at plastics and how we look at materials that, we've existed with for decades. Okay.
The journey of superglue, starting as an accidental annoyance and evolving into a potential sustainability savior. It's like watching your favorite underdog character grow into a world-changing hero. Imagine a future where our sticky friend isn't just about resolving last-minute DIY mishaps, but leads a revolution in sustainable materials. Talk about character development worthy of an epic blockbuster. So let's raise a tube in honor of superglue's next adventure, from crafting chaos to championing change. Here's to sticking it to the unsustainable status quo.
Okay, what if we use this for something else?
Coover said it took the right mindset to see cyanoacrylate as a great adhesive. The first time he worked with it, he was thinking about gun sights and nothing but gun sights. Its sticky qualities were a pain. The second time he encountered it, his colleagues fixated on the broken refractometer, but he could finally see the quality that frustrated him as a benefit. And then, after decades of researchers only viewing it as a useful adhesive, it took another flash of inspiration to see its potential as a plastic once more. As Coover said, this should serve as a reminder to all of us to be open-minded and curious enough to pursue unexplained events and unexpected results, which may unlock new secrets and lead to new and exciting discoveries of the future. Coover's ability to look beyond roadblocks and see the breakthroughs on the other side is a skill that every great innovator shares. It's not some kind of rare genius. It just takes strong critical thinking and problem-solving skills, which anyone can learn. And if you
the tale of cyanoacrylate, a testament to the power of perspective. Coover's journey with superglue is the ultimate reminder that today's severe pain might be tomorrow's billion-dollar breakthrough. Who knew the key to unlocking potential was right under your nose, or rather, gluing your equipment together? This narrative beautifully illustrates that what seems like an obstacle can become an opportunity with the right mindset. So, the next time life hands you sticky fingers or thoughts, remember to embrace curiosity and critical thinking. You might just stumble upon the next big thing. Here's to seeing the silver linings and hidden superpowers in every sticky situation.
If you want to start building these skills yourself right now for free, look no further than today's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant will help you build real skills through thousands of interactive lessons on everything from math and science to programming and technology. On Brilliant, you don't just learn new topics, you learn new ways of seeing the world around you. You'll be able to solve problems like a scientist, engineer, or data analyst. And since every lesson gets you hands-on with key concepts, you'll know how to apply them to real-world situations. I truly believe that learning a little bit every day is one of the most important things you can do. And if you're like me and made a resolution to end each day a little smarter this year, well, Brilliant will help you actually do it. All their lessons are bite-sized and you can do them right on your phone. So whenever you have a few minutes, you can be building a quicker, sharper mind. So to try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/Veritasium. Click that link in the description or scan this QR code right here. And if you
the classic learn while you wait scenario, turning idle moments into intellectual adventures. It's like Netflix for your brain, minus the binge-watching guilt, but with all the cognitive gains. Imagine killing time while waiting for your superglue to dry, and instead emerging with a newfound understanding of data analysis or engineering principles. Thanks to Brilliant, you can upgrade from idly scrolling socials to solving the world's sticky problems, one interactive lesson at a time. Remember, folks, why not turn procrastination into productivity and make genius your new status update?
If you sign up, you'll also get 20% off their annual premium subscription. So I want to thank Brilliant for sponsoring this video, and I want to thank you for watching.
Wow, what an eye-opener! Who knew that a simple drop of superglue holds such a rich history and potential to reshape our world? From accidental discovery to revolutionizing recycling, it's the little adhesive that could. Remember, the next time you grab that tube, you're holding a piece of world-changing potential in your hands. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the sticky wonders of science, why not stick with me for more intriguing reactions and insights? Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's continue unraveling the fascinating stories hiding in plain sight. Don't miss out. Your next favorite revelation is just a click away.